this is good?
Okay, the anxiety is still there within the market, and of course, understanding that the electoral process also has to take its course. The stress level has actually been able to substitute compared to what we saw earlier, and what we are seeing now is that there are people that have actually, taken up a risk to say, let's see how things can work out. The movement of people and the business interplay, I think it's coming to some sense of normalization. So perhaps tomorrow or the other day, we should be able to see that everyone will come now into full swing in terms of operations. So what we have seen so far working out and being cultivated strongly is that there is confidence being built up every day. And we'll be able to see that at least there will be a full-scale response from the business sectors, especially when it comes to key economic agents in the economy.
What's the best way to go managing our financial issues, especially during such times?
We need to be a bit skeptical with certain haphazard expense, because it's cause for us to do a bit of a saving habit, and also to be very conscious in terms of how we go about expenditure columns, especially at a point when we are not very sure of how the outturn of certain things will be able to work out. But in the case right now, as maybe for a case of Zambia, we've seen how the fiscal discipline has been able to hold up. Looking at how certain things also are working out. I think overall, what I should be able to mention that I think it's a time that you need to do a lot of calculated risks in regards to your expenditure patterns and behavior, and also just to look at a key essential item to be stocked up at household level. If it's
what are the saving options? I think that is one thing that we are lacking. Sometimes I get to be coerced to want to save when I hear bonds. Somebody explains them in a very fancy way, then I'm like, okay, that sounds like a good idea and a better option for savings. Another person from the bank will tell you the best way to save is open an account and save. And others would say, okay, use mobile money, or many other options that we have. How can somebody best choose an option that's best for their savings?
It also depends with the risk appetite that is being taken up in that case, especially when you look at the current scenario. I think yes, going into government securities is a way to go, because there is also a sense of fiscal discipline, which is also argumenting that strongly. But again, the issue of also looking at investment, how do we work out investment to spread the risk as well? It's an important aspect that need to be looked into critically, actually. Because obviously what we are trying to see on the table here is that there's a need for us to look at how best can we look at different investment classes. Going to the bond, of course, speaks of a good element, but again, the key factor here is that there has been a lot of changes that are taking place. Like we have heard of benchmark bond. We are also talking of a different way in which bond repayments are also made in a different way to avoid the inflationary effect that we normally receive as well. So it's important to look at how best can we cultivate a system of also taking risk whenever you are also trying to invest into some of the items. Maybe the typical example that I can give is that if you've got a house, you also need to go into farming. You also need to go into some shares on the stock market. Already we know that the capital market is also vibrating with a very strong fundamental elements. So overall, my assumption is that it's also important to look at how the market is being patterned. And again, the interest that is coming from SME, it's something that you can also be able to cultivate from there. You need to look at how best can I become an angel investor as well. If you've got enough money, you can interplay into some of the emerging or startups that are also being put on the market. Right. So overall, the aspect also of looking into value addition. For me, value addition is a key factor. If you identify from the word go what is happening, especially when you know that the policy consistency has been holding up, and few positive elements are also speaking of positive development, then the key aspect is to look at how do I come and interplay into the center of value addition that Zambia is so needed to do. And that is a key fundamental factor, because it's a centerpiece of how you should be able to work out the economic formula development of this country. So if one identifies the value addition that is demanded for this country, I think you will be able to make up good saving and investment from that perspective.
Great. Building up to what ECZ will have to give us for today. Remember, we are post-election day, Zambia votes, and we want to hear what the Electoral Commission of Zambia will be able to indicate. And clearly on the screen to my left, you are able to see the two contenders, the front runners, if you may want to call them that. The incumbent President Hakainde Hichilema with 1,544,140 votes. Mr. Brian Mundubile coming in second with 1,030,662, counting, and announcement of other results still pouring in into ECZ, and ECZ verifies. We are just from talking to Jason Dube, who is at the center at the Kenneth Kaunda wing, where he has indicated that they've indicated it's possible they could come anytime, 12 hours, possibly somewhere there. And that's the outlook as you see it in the National Election Results Center, the KK wing of the Mulungushi International Conference Center, the main auditorium. So everyone settled in there. The way they are settled and anticipating for the arrival of the ECZ officials is the same way that we are seated in studio anticipating for them. Is the same way that you at home are seated in the chair anticipating for them. So let's be together and ensure that we follow official results that are coming from the ECZ. For now, we'll take a peace musical break. We are still here.